pulled up a quick little blurb on what happened with Jefferson and the Barbary States, and this is very interesting. Thomas Jefferson didn't make a single famous direct quote to the Barbary pirates. However, he was deeply involved in the U.S. dealings. The most notable came in March of 1786 when Jefferson, he was the current minister to France, and John Adams to Britain, met in London with the Tripoli ambassador, envoy Sidi Haji Abdrahman. They inquired why Tripoli claimed the right to attack American ships despite no provocation or injury from the U.S. The ambassador explained that it was founded on Islamic law as written in their Quran. All nations that had not acknowledged the prophet were sinners, and it was the right and duty of the faithful to plunder and enslave them. He added that any Muslim slain in such warfare was assured paradise, and described boarding tactics that terrified enemies into surrender. Jefferson and Adams reported this in March 28, 1786 letter to Secretary of Foreign Affairs John Jay, noting the ambassador's demands for tribute around 30,000 guineas for a perpetual peace with Tripoli, plus his personal cut paid in cash, no goods accepted. Jefferson was skeptical of paying tribute from the start, viewing it as an ineffective and likely to encourage more demands. In private correspondence and proposals, he advocated force over tribute, arguing war would be cheaper and more honorable long-term than endless payments. He wrote things like preferring to, quote, effect a peace through the medium of war, and calculated that building a navy to fight would cost less than ongoing tribute. As president in 1801, when Tripoli's Pasha demanded higher tribute then declared war, by chopping down the U.S. flagpole in Tripoli, Jefferson refused payment and sent U.S. Navy warships to the Mediterranean. He authorized aggressive action to chastise their insolence by sinking, burning, or destroying pirate vessels. This led to the First Barbary War, the U.S.'s first overseas conflict, ending with a treaty where tribute was minimized or phased out for Tripoli. A slogan often linked to this era, millions for defense, but not 1 cent for tribute, is frequently misattributed to Jefferson. It actually originated from Congressman Robert Goodloe Harper in 1798 during the XYZ affair, a separate dispute with France, though it captured the anti-tribute sentiment Jefferson embodied in his Barbary policy. I absolutely love this because I will stress, today, the American policy for kidnapping in the Middle East is you will get not a single penny from us. We will show up with special forces at 3 a.m. in night vision goggles, and we will kill everyone you know. And so what happens is if you are European and you are in North Africa or the Middle East and you're kidnapped, they smile. These people will take you, they find you, they smile and say, we're about to get paid millions of dollars. When they find an American, they say, no. We don't touch the Americans because we like being alive. Now, the ISIS did change this when ISIS started to rise up. They said, try us, we don't care. And no longer were Americans basically receiving the benefit of these not a penny for tribute tactics.
No, the tribute tactics, that's the jizya, that's them asking for money, which again is in Islamic scripture. You convert, you convert, you leave, or you give us money.
That's right.
You become a dhimmitu, you become under us, and you give us money to live.
Well, and they also say, part of it is if you convert, then you can be part of our raiding squads and you can get some of this plunder as well.
You can be rewarded as well.
You know, and that's part of it. What I find sort of amazing about the European situation that has opened borders to Islamic extremists all over the Middle East and the rest of the world. What's crazy about that is Europe literally fought like hundreds of years of war to keep Islamic people out of Europe.
I went through.
And now it's just like, okay, well, instead of fighting you guys, we're just going to open the door and let all the hordes in. But I mean, there was the Crusades were hundreds of years of fighting.
Is this not just very similar to the fall of Rome?
But the difference here is he's not talking about Islamic interpretation. He's just talking about Islam. Yeah, he's not talking about interpretation. Now, I went through, Islam is the religion of peace, the phrase. Do you know that was never said in history?
Well, it's not real.
Until George W. Bush. Until George W. Bush, try and find that by anyone, by a historian, by an academic, by an Islamic scholar. Try and find the phrase, Islam is a religion of peace, by anybody in the world before George W. Bush. George W. Bush said it, and then it was said 1,000 times and 1,000,000 times, and now it's repeated as a matter of fact. Now, William Gladstone, I went through trying to find, do you know the leaders of a country, it's their job, like Thomas Jefferson, to warn the public of danger. Now, all leaders, military leaders, political leaders throughout America and Britain's history have warned about Islam, not warned about an interpretation of Islam. Sir William Gladstone held the Quran above his head in British Parliament and said, there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have this book. It's a violent and cursed book. He didn't talk about an interpretation of the book. He talked about the book, the Quran. That's what he spoke about. Winston Churchill said, Islam in a man is like rabies in a dog. He explained that Individual Muslims show amazing traits. This is his words. Individual Muslims show amazing traits, but Islam will bring Europe back to the Dark Ages. So all of our leaders understood Islam. And they spoke openly about Islam. Now, if we had no Muslims in Britain, I'm sure our leaders would still talk openly about it. But what we have now is 5,000 Muslims who are hostile and ready to go to violence at the click of a finger. Since they rioted in 2002 in the UK and they burned cities, it went from Bradford, it went to Oldham, it went to multiple cities. Since then, our government have got on their knees and gave them concession after concession after concession. They have pandered to mob rule of violence and threats of violence. And they're weak. It's happening in Sweden, it's happening in France. We now have a Europe that doesn't know how to deal with this problem. And rather than deal with it, like American leaders would have done, they just surrender to it. And they try to appease and they try to appease. And they continue doing that. So
how much of this has to do with the West, Europe, and America just having no value for their own culture or religion?
It's filled a vacuum. So, but I believe all of this. I believe the attack on the family, the feminisation of men, the weakness, the breakdown of community, even the British pub. Look at the British pub. The British pub is the heartbeat of British culture. Yeah. Now, when we formed the English Defence League in 2009, we formed from the pubs. We built a movement of men from the pubs. We got men together, and men sit in pubs, and they discuss the problems. How are we going to deal with these problems? It's somewhere where you can come together and you can build that community. The pubs are gone.
That was like pre-Revolutionary War in New England.
The pubs are gone?
It was the pubs.
The pubs are gone.
Why are the pubs gone?
I think the pubs are gone. They're closed. Even the Labour government, I've done a piece on it recently where I went into a local pub in a town where all the other pubs are closed. And I asked the people in there, when this closes, what's it mean for you? They said, it means everything. This is where we meet.
Why are they closing?
Well, they're closing because I'd say it's an effort by the government to make sure that we do not have centres. They don't want you community-based. They don't want you together. They want you broken, isolated, fragmented, and on your own. They want you isolated. That's how they want you. Now, if you can have community, every pub that we use through the English Defence League, they're gone. They've closed them all down. Now, this is happening. If you look, there's another 2,000 pubs going to close this year in Britain.
Wow.
They're closing. They're disappearing.
Can you open more, or do they not give you permits?
They're making it impossible to finance them. The taxes. The Labour government have just made more policies now. They come in April where many more of them are going to have to close. Now, this is purposely done. They are breaking the community. As they bring in mass immigration, I can tell you, I've seen it in my own town. As they bring in mass immigration, we flee, we leave, the community's broken. I used to walk down the street, I'd hug everyone, I'd know everyone, we'd all know the families, we'd know everyone. So when you have a strong community like that, you can build and you can get together. And if you want to resist something, you can resist it. Now, and when you bring strong men together, men who know who they are, they know their identity and they know where they've come from, they know their history, they'll fight for it. You break all those things, you've got a country full of people who don't know who they are. They're walking around with blue hair. They don't know if they're a man or a woman. It's all an attack.
I have a question about all this because I pulled up, we were talking about the Hadith. Ian, would you like to read that quoted portion?
Yeah, but it's too blurry for me from here.
You can't see it.
No.
Phil, would you like to read the quote?
The hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, "O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him."
You know that's in Hamas's charter, yeah?
Is in what?
That's in Hamas's charter.
Yeah.
It's in Hamas's charter.
That's in Hamas's charter. So
They removed it recently, saying like,
a few years ago after the hoo-ha come out and everyone knew that this is what Hamas is about. Hamas don't talk about Zionists, they talk about Jews. The final day of judgment will not come till every Jew is dead.
Yeah, and
Hamas were elected by the people of Palestine. They were politically elected, whether you trust it or not. There's never been an election again from it. But they were voted in by a majority. There was two groups. There was Hamas, there was Fatah, both terrorist organisations, both want the destruction of the Jews, both want the killing of the Jews. And they are the party that many in the Western countries' politicians now are supporting. And they're supporting them to appease the bloc Muslim vote in the community.
I have no problem with people criticizing the government of Israel. And even, their military, by all means, even the culture, whatever you're allowed to criticize. But what's fascinating to me is we have feminism, hates Israel, like the left hates Israel, hates the Jews. Israel is often used as an excuse where we have seen this massive explosion of Jew hatred across social media. And I'm sorry, I look at what's going on with this mass migration, with Islam, which is a religion explicitly telling their people to go and kill all of the Jews. And I'm curious why the Jews who are in control of everything haven't just stopped this.
Well, even the LGBTQ groups.
Jews that are, you mean like the international?
The point is, if the left,
International
no. I'm saying that somewhat ironically.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
The left makes the argument the Jews run and control everything.
Right.
Meanwhile,
Very
they're
good
getting
job.
But
they're,
they
get-
can't
they're not
stop
doing a
it.
very good job at all.
Right, exactly.
If they control the media, they're not doing very
Why is it that you,
Yeah.
Tommy, were put in solitary confinement on multiple occasions? You've been falsely accused of crimes. They've lied about you incessantly in all these different media organizations, and then I'm told that it was the Jews who did it, not Islam.
I know. Well, in the last 12 months, I've spent seven months on solitary confinement. I've been found not guilty of a terrorist trial. They charged me under terrorism legislation for nothing. My last two cases, the judge's rulings were this was politically targeting. You're harassing him. You're persecuting him. That's the judge's comments in my last two cases. I wish I had the sort of, and God bless Elon Musk, because Elon Musk funded my lawyers for my last two cases.
Wow.
Otherwise, I'd be convicted. I'd be sitting here now as a convicted terrorist. Well, I wouldn't be here, would I? Because
You're going to hang out with them?
I'd love to hang out with him. I'd love to shake his hand to thank him for Elon Musk has given.
Have you reached out to him?
I've sent just a message. I speak to his lawyer, so I've just sent a message to his lawyer to thank
That
him.
has to happen. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.